All right. We're in live. Good afternoon, Diane. Great to see you on. And just to check here, I'm going to go ahead and put everybody on mute here to start, just to begin things today. We'll make some time at the end of today's presentation to cover any questions and open up the room. That way you guys can come off mute and talk with me at the end. But in the meantime here, let me know if you guys can hear me and see the screen okay. Cool. Good to hear. Just going to pull up the stream on my computer quickly. Good to go. Those joining in the Facebook Live, hashtag live below if you're joining me. I'm going to do my best to keep up with comments here too. So I have both pulled up on both screens here. So let me know in the comments below if you're watching on the Facebook Live in the group. For those that would like to join us inside the Zoom room, I'll go ahead and drop the link to do that directly in the comments. That is now there for you. We'll get started here very shortly. All right, now I'm clearing out my million tabs and the two monitors. We are about to be good to go here. First and foremost, as we do kick off, apologies if I happen to sneeze, cough, do any of these things throughout the live. I've been sick for the most of the start of the week, but these last 2 days I've been feeling back to myself, and I'm back to full health now, just still kind of lingering on since then. But wanted to preface that to start, as I've got my Kleenex box here and I may have to blow my nose a few times throughout the live for those of you who are joining me on the Zoom. But again, those jumping on the Facebook Live, let me know in the comments just so I can see who's there. Looks like we have a few joining in the Zoom room, so we'll get those in. And we will get started. Excited to deliver today's presentation with you guys. Just so I know in the chat before we kick off here, those in the Zoom room here now, who here is currently selling a coaching offer? Let me know in the chat. If you're not selling a coaching offer, feel free to just share kind of what offer you're focused on selling right now. If you're working with clients, this training will be beneficial to you, whether you're in a coaching business or not. But specifically, we're going to be going into today elements of our client management toolkit that we use to simplify our coaching business, deliver greater client results, and shave hours off our delivery time. And then I decided when making this presentation to go a little bit deeper into the workflow and productivity side of things as well. So as we touch and go through this client management toolkit, talk about the benefits of this, we're going to segue from there into the topic of workflow, energy management, and productivity, as these kind of really go hand in hand with today's topic that we're discussing. By the end of today's presentation, I will have an opportunity for a few of you here that would like to work with me and plug into these systems that I go over today. So that will be shared at the very end. And then we'll also be taking some time at the end too for any questions anybody has too on today's presentation. For now, if questions come up as I start to deliver, feel free to drop them in the comments. I may stop in between the live and just answer those as I continue to go along. But if not, I'll be able to refer back to those at the end and make sure that those are covered. Awesome. We have one that's two offering coaching offers on here now, one small business finance. See who's in the group. Looks like a few more joining on the Facebook Live in the group too. So if you are hopping on and joining me, hashtag live below and let me know. Don't know how long this replay will be live in the group, but it will be there for at least 48 hours. So those hopping on, watch the replay in the group, hashtag replay below. All right. Without further ado, let's get into it. So as I briefly kind of touched on here, just pulling up the events that you guys RSVP'd on here today, briefly talking about the operational brain that I'm going to be going over. I love talking on this stuff, and I'm super excited to share these systems that I put together to share with you guys in this presentation. As mentioned, we're going to be talking a lot on client delivery and client delivery systems, but I'm also going to be kind of peeling back the curtain on really the whole operational brain that we use to really operate our entire business out of one single app. So we'll be touching on that as we progress through today's presentation. But with that said, we will dive into the first phase. So before we get started here on this topic of energy productivity, managing our clients, managing our business, I have a question I'm curious on with you guys here watching. How many of you have ever felt this? Like one day you're in your business and you have a lot of energy, you get shit done, you feel in a groove, feel in a flow, and the next day you're sluggish and having trouble thinking straight, feeling overwhelmed and kind of all over the map. Who here has ever felt that before? I know I have many times. And this is honestly what we're going to be talking on today was a big thing that's really helped me limit this as much as possible in my business. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. This stuff's bound to happen. We're bound to have days that are good days and days that are bad days. And we're going to get things that are thrown our way as a business owner that sometimes we don't expect. But if we have systems and structure in place to manage our energy and manage the day-to-day of our business, it allows us to have a structure that doesn't allow us to get pulled and be super reactive to things as they do come up itself. We'll get one more person in the Zoom room here. Sri, welcome in on the live, man. Good to see you on. In the Zoom room too. So I want to pull up a quote here to start from Jeff Bezos, where he mentions where you're going to spend your time and your energy is one of the most important decisions you get to make in your life. Now, it seems like a basic quote, but if there's one thing that I've realized in my pursuit and my growth of my, excuse me here, I'm just going to mute attendees just so we don't have any background noise. Those that do hop in the Zoom room, I'll approve you as you join throughout the live, but all I ask is that when you do come in, just go ahead and pop yourself on mute right away to avoid interruption. Back to the presentation. So with this quote here, the reason I want to bring this up is because, as mentioned, as I've continued to scale my business, going from my first 100K a year to scaling past 500K and beyond, if there's one thing I've realized I didn't realize early on, it's the importance of energy management. And I think for me, when I was getting started and even achieving that initial growth, it was all about productivity and trying to do more in the time that I had, knowing that I had limited time when I was getting started, managing a side hustle plus a full-time job. But as I've gone full-time with my online business, as I've taken on many, many more clients and served more clients than what I was ever used to before, one of the most important things that I've realized is the importance of energy management. This goes not even just in delivering to clients and setting expectations with them, but also within the activities that you're doing in your business of marketing, prospecting, having conversations. All of these things, if we don't have a structure in place for this, is very easy for our energy to get pulled and for us to feel super overwhelmed. And when our energy isn't aligned as the business owner, we can't show up in the way that we need to operate the business in a way that actually will grow going forward and flourish and thrive. So I want to pull up a chart here to begin to talk a little bit further on this topic of energy management. And what this shows is kind of 4 phases of energy. You have the survival zone, you have the performance zone, the burnout zone, and the recovery zone. Now, ideally, we want to try to be in this performance zone for the majority of the time. Recovery zone as times needed as well. But the zones we want to eliminate and avoid is the survival zone and the burnout zone. And if we're not careful as we continue to grow, like as I mentioned before, many of you here are at different stages of your business. Some of you in the beginning stages right now may see this and think, I'm not at this point yet, or I don't need this yet. But I think being able to look ahead in terms of what to prepare yourself for, I know will be super helpful to everybody here. And this is why I know this training will be beneficial to everybody watching. Because for me, when I was growing my business, I didn't really know what I was getting into at new levels of growth. And I didn't realize the problems that would come as I hit new levels. We're going to talk more on this in just a second. But the more that we can arm ourselves with awareness around what's to come as we continue to grow and make sure that we have systems and structure in place to support that when we get to that level, it's only putting us in position to maintain the energy that we need to continue to grow our business. So as we're on this slide quickly here, For you guys right now, just honest, for those who are willing to honestly share, like for, let's say, the recent last few weeks in your business, which zone would you say that you found yourself in most frequently? And this could be just outside of business too, just your general life. Where would you put your energy at in terms of these 4 zones? Survival, performance, recovery, or burnout? Appreciate sharing. Those that mentioned, someone just came and mentioned burnout. Feel free to share as well in the chat too. For those that especially mentioned like the burnout piece or the survival piece, like let me know in the chat what you're noticing that is draining your energy right now. What's stressing you out in your business? Is it serving clients? Is it managing, keeping up consistently with leads and sales coming in? Is it managing other elements of the business? Is it something like, what is it to you that you notice when you're in your day-to-day of work, your energy is feeling drained when you do that thing? Love it. Doug mentioned performance, client acquisition. I think you guys will be able to see why in this next coming slide too, like based on this phase that you're in, where typically like these energy drainers come from, because at different stages, we're focused on different things. Especially in the beginning stage when we're trying to make those initial clients, all we're really focused on is client acquisition, marketing, sales. And if we're not comfortable with those conversations, with dealing with rejection and things like that, can easily lead to our energy being drained. Same goes with deliveries. We take on more clients and we have to serve more people, and we aren't setting the right expectations for those clients. And we're kind of all over the maps, serving all these different people, trying to keep up with it while still juggling marketing and sales. It's very easy for our energy to be drained in that area. And this is a pretty clear illustration of what it can look like when you get to that point, especially as you start to take on more and more clients. Imagine these hands sticking out in this picture. This is a stock photo I pulled off Google search, but I thought this was a good illustration of this because these feelings can come up when like you take on more clients, you have more clients that you're serving, and you have people reaching out to you in DMs that you're working to get on a call to possibly be a new client. On top of the clients that you're serving, a lot of people requesting support from you, help from you, wanting to find out more. Like you can get hit from a variety of different angles, and in turn, it can honestly put you into shutdown mode where you feel so overwhelmed all over the map that you can't show up and do what you need to do that day. And this is what we want to avoid. So the challenges of managing clients' energy and growth in a coaching business. This is what I was talking about before when it comes to these different phases, because every new phase of growth that we hit in our business brings new challenges. I didn't go super deep into this first phase here, but the point I want to illustrate is when we're at 0, we're really essentially just focused on marketing and sales. All we really want at this time is more leads and more clients. We want to break the code of hitting that initial client. We want to hit our first 3 clients, etc. When we're in this mode of being at 0, at fresh start, all we want is more leads, more clients. And at this point, we haven't yet dealt with dealing with delivery. We're only really kind of focused on 2 core components in the business, marketing and sales. As we take on clients, this is where the delivery side starts to kick in. Now, for me, when I got started in my journey, I went from being an affiliate marketer for my first year to then starting my coaching business after year 1 when I hit 100K with my affiliate business. And this is what I've used to scale to beyond 500K since then. In the first year, when I was in my 9-to-5 selling a high ticket affiliate products, the large reason behind why I chose to sell high ticket affiliate products and not make a product of my own was because number one, I felt I didn't at that point in time have the skill set to package that into an offer of my own that I could confidently deliver results to my clients with. And I made it my mission to develop those skills so I could get to the point of eventually launching my own coaching offers. I did that year. But the benefit too of being able to sell high ticket affiliate products for me at the time was, as I was at 0, as I was managing a full-time job and doing this as a side hustle, it really allowed me to put my focus towards developing skills in marketing and sales. But I didn't at that time know what it was like to take on more and more clients, and to also know what it was like to deliver to clients on my own products and services. And when we add that component to the mix, it's a completely other variable that comes into play in our business. And when we're not used to it and it's new to us, it takes a lot of getting used to, and it takes structure to really do it successfully. If not, it can be very overwhelming to manage all three. Marketing and sales is a challenge enough alone for many to manage in the beginning and to get that off the ground. But then when we add in the other component of delivery, we're really forced to wear a lot of hats at that stage when we start taking those initial clients. So then we can get to a phase of, let's say, 2K to 6K. Now, for those of you here that are coaches, I don't know about you, but for me, I started with one-to-one coaching, and many clients that I've worked with at this level and help scale beyond this, even at the 10K level, typically I always start with a one-to-one coaching offer. This is what I always recommend to start with. But when we're selling one-to-one coaching, we're essentially selling our time. Now, what happens in this phase is, let's say you're here and you enrolled your first initial one-to-one coaching clients. Typically, you're selling it for a package maybe around 500, 1,000, 1,500. Nothing too expensive to start because you're still getting comfortable in presenting that offer yourself, offering your own services and your own time. And ultimately, as mentioned in that first phase, like we're really just focused on getting clients, getting our foot in the door. So let's say in this stage, you're at 2 to 6K, you have essentially 1 to 3 to 4 clients. This is where the delivery phase starts to kick in. And now you have to manage marketing, sales, and delivery. Bringing new clients in, making sure that new people are finding out about you, converting new people into your offer while still delivering to the clients that you already have captured as a sale in your business, helping them get results, most importantly, keeping them happy and serving them on the offer itself. Through this, it can be difficult to start to stay consistent with marketing and sales. And what I often see amongst many coaches is when they land these initial clients, marketing and sales start to kind of fall back in terms of priorities. And a lot of this is because, as mentioned here at the bottom, no structure of keeping track of clients and delivery, both in one-to-one and even in a group format for those of you here that are doing group coaching or even offering like a group chat to support clients at a one-to-many level. When we get to this point, it's very easy to get overwhelmed with delivery. And in turn, we start losing hours trying to prepare for calls, deliver our service, and really try to keep our initial clients happy. Because when we're at this level, taking on these initial clients, we want nothing more than these clients to be super happy with their work with us, their experience with us. And again, most importantly, we want them to get results. So it's human nature for us to start to gravitate more focus towards delivering an awesome experience to them. Unfortunately, with this, it can lead to us almost doing too much, preparing too much, feeling like we have to do all these things to keep them happy and to make sure that they're happy and experiencing the program. Our marketing and sales gets pushed to the side. And in turn, we kind of get stuck into a mode where we're just trying to keep our clients happy. And it's very easy in this mode to get into the coach mode of people pleasing. And people pleasing does not bring client results. Sometimes you have to have honest discussions with your clients, point out things to them that maybe, number one, they don't want to hear, or just prepare them for things that maybe they're not used to hearing right now that they haven't seen yet because they're not at the level that you are. But when we're serving these initial clients, it's very easy for us to get stuck into a mode of like, if I say that, I could upset my client. Or if I say this, maybe they won't want to do that. And we try so hard to make them happy and we micromanage our delivery to them that we end up losing a lot of time in it. If anybody is feeling this or experiencing this now, depending on what level you're in your business now, let me know in the chat if you relate to this or if this resonates with you. Then we get into phase 3, which I kind of put into a bucket at, let's say, 7K to 14K. Now, a few things I want to talk on through this, because if you're at a point where you're at 7K to 14K, and in the example mentioned, let's say you're selling a one-to-one coaching offer, you're probably at a point where you're at 7 to 10 plus one-to-one clients. And when you get to this level, more than often, your calendar is pretty damn full with one-to-one coaching calls. When this happens, marketing and sales is almost forced to get pushed completely aside. Versus in the previous phase, you're maybe able to still show up and do some activities within that. But now with these new clients coming in, if you're able to break past this phase and still enroll a few more clients from what you had here, it can get pretty overwhelming in this phase. And this reminds me a lot of a client that I had last year that came in, had a one-to-one coaching offer, just came off his first 10K month. And the reason he signed up with me was because he knew that if he continued this path and what he was doing now, although he was getting results, just came off his first 10K month, things on the surface looked like they were going great. He knew internally that if he continued this path, he'd essentially be digging himself into a hole that he couldn't get out of. Because at some point, his delivery would be capped. Right at that point in time when he signed up, he knew that He was literally going from either delivery call to sales call. His calendar was constantly packed full of calls, and he had no time to actually work on his business. Instead, he was constantly just working in his business. And he knew that this wasn't sustainable or a way for him to get to the next level of scale. And that's a big reason why he signed up with me, to install the systems that we're going to be going over here today, to allow him to increase his capacity to take on more clients while still being able to deliver a strong service and still be able to bring in new clients as well. Being able to not just be one-sided in his focus, being able to put focus in all the areas that he needs to, while being able to increase the capacity to take on more clients and still deliver the results that he wants to for them. So in this phase, it's very easy for us to get into a mode where we get so overwhelmed with all the clients that we have. We grow so quick that we're spread so thin from jumping from coaching call to coaching call, trying to keep our clients happy, but then our clients are not getting results and it makes us feel down. And then when we have a negative client experience, we're trying to keep them happy, again, going back to the people pleasing thing, and we can't serve them as a coach in the way that we need to. All of this is coming back to what we just talked on in previous slides, where when our clients aren't having the success that we want them to, and we're overwhelmed with how many clients we have while still knowing that we can't take on more, and we're stuck going from call to call, it's draining our energy. We can't show up how we need to in our business. We're overwhelmed. We lose momentum in marketing and sales. And worst case scenario as well, our income becomes capped. We truly can't take on any more clients if we wanted to, because the offer structure that we have at one-to-one coaching doesn't support it. In order to achieve sustainable and consistent growth in your coaching business, you need systems that reduce mistakes, that produces consistent results, and that eliminates chaos, confusion, and negative energy. This is the foundation of what our business is built on. This is what I'm going to be sharing with you guys here up next and going into this whole system. We're going to dive right into it straight away after this. And this is a lot of what we talked on those previous slides, where that client that I mentioned, this is what we focus on installing in their business to help increase that capacity, manage the energy, and allow them to show up in the business in the way that they need to without having to wear all the hats and run around like a crazy man. When we think about this, going a little bit deeper here, what I share on this first screen is starting with client onboarding. So in those phases that we mentioned before, as you're taking on the initial clients, likely you're making the sale, capturing payment, and then following up with them in Messenger, sending them a link to book a kickoff call with you, maybe sending them over some initial resources to get started, a training video to get started, depending on where you're at. If you have a training area for them to watch videos, like a membership area, giving them access to all that. The point I want to illustrate in this is when you sign up a new client, there's typically multiple steps that take place to get that client onboarded, set up, and started in the program in a way that's they're super happy and excited when they begin. And I don't know about you guys, but I've signed up for programs early on in my journey where I invested multiple thousands of dollars, and I got hit with multiple random messages on Facebook from that person I signed up with, basically just spamming me a bunch of random links. Check this out, book a call here, do all this. And me as the client, I was overwhelmed. I didn't feel like I knew what to do to get started in the program. And I knew that going forward, as I developed my own coaching program, I wanted to set up a structure that for me as the CEO, as we enrolled new clients, I didn't have to stress and sweat about my client getting set up and up to speed and getting started in the program in a way that they were happy and clear on what they needed to do. Also making sure that they were having the experience that I wanted them to have coming into the program. So this was a benefit to both worlds, for me and my headspace and my energy, but also to benefit that as well, the headspace, the energy of that person coming in, to make sure that they're happy, excited, and clear on how to get started and make the most out of their first phase in the coaching program. So for us, the system that we developed, which all comes back to this app that we're going to be getting into here today, starts with this first phase of a new client signing up. I wanted to go over this onboarding process first. So for those that sign up with our coaching offer, in this example here, I'm sharing our 6-figure accelerator group coaching onboarding form. Essentially what happens is a payment is captured. They choose to enroll into our coaching offer after we invite them. And as soon as they do, they're going to get an automated welcome email that welcomes them into the program, congratulates them on joining within minutes after they pay, and points them to a page to get started in a very simplified way. So we're going from step one here. They get this automated email welcoming them, congratulating them, and saying, hey, for first steps to get started in the coaching program, follow this page here. They click through and they go to this page. On this page, it clearly breaks down step 1, step 2, step 3, exactly how to get onboarded, set up, and clear on exactly how to access everything in the program. On this page as well, in step 2, notice how it says complete the intake form here. So as we see on the right page, this is basically half of what you see of our client intake form. We ask a bunch more questions than this, but some basic questions to start. We have birthday, email, name, phone number, address, etc. There's a few reasons why we have this onboarding form set up and what makes this super powerful, which I'm going to go into next slide. But I want to take a second here to point this out too as we're on this slide. For those of you here enrolling coaching clients now, I know for me, when I enrolled my first 3 to 5 one-to-one clients, when I was just getting started with coaching, I never had any onboarding form. I dove right into pointing them to initial doc steps, schedule a kickoff call, get started. What I noticed was every time I was on those kickoff calls, that I'd have to spend basically the first 30, 45 minutes, even the entire hour-long call, pretty much getting clear on their current situation and their business before I can actually offer the coaching and insight that I needed to help them create the plan going forward. An easy way to shortcut this process for me, and 2 benefits that this brings, is having a simple onboarding form. This allows them to give me a snapshot of their entire business and the information I need on them right away, so I can go into that one-to-one kickoff call with them prepared and clear on exactly where they're at in their business, ready to start working on the plan going forward. Number 2, this also is really powerful fuel for anybody here that's enrolling clients in terms of improving their content marketing. There's no better source to come to than direct answers from people that are choosing to invest into your coaching offer or coaching to solve problems that they're dealing with. And for them to articulate these problems and to explain exactly where they're at with their business, how they perceive them, fears they have, all of this good stuff like this, not only is helpful for us as the coach and having clarity that we need on what's keeping them stuck, where they're at, and how we can help them, but it also helps us get a really clear understanding on how other people may be feeling that are our ideal clients as well in our market. So we use these onboarding responses not only to streamline and make our client onboarding and client delivery more efficient and effective, but this also offers a great source of data for us to make our marketing that much more powerful. Pause for a second here. Everything makes sense so far, clear so far? Any questions I can cover as we dive further into this client delivery and onboarding process? Julio, welcome on the live, man. Good to see you on. Those joining on the live, looks like we have a few more names on. Hashtag live below, let me know so I know who's joining. All right. So let's move on from here. Now that we've onboarded the new client into our coaching offer, they got the email, they were taken to this simplified onboarding page. They go to this onboarding form to complete this. This is where something really powerful happens for us in terms of client management and really streamline this entire process for us. From the moment that onboarding form is filled in, immediately right after, an entire record is made into our client management system that shows their name, an image of them, shows that they're in the onboarding phase. And it also takes all of their answers from all of their questions and all the responses from the onboarding form and puts it into one simplified Rolodex for that one person. So we essentially have one single client record for that new client coming in, all their onboarding form responses, a picture of them, a clear visual to see that they're actually a new client in the onboarding. And we can use this as a master sheet to come back to going forward to continue to refer back if we need to reference this information, as well as drop updates on this client as we continue to coach them going forward. This was massive for me because prior to this, I had a spreadsheet to manage clients. I had a document for each one-to-one client. I had a bunch of resources floating around everywhere and nothing was in one centralized spot. And for me, it was taking me all this time pre-coaching call before I got on the call to check in and try to gather all of these things to get myself up to speed and prepared for that call ahead. But now I can quickly go into our client management system, search the client's name, pull them up based on the picture, and I have one entire spot that gives me a pulse on everything about their business, where they're at in the program, and everything that I need to know going into the call. Even to the extent of being able to see things like you can see up here in this example, it doesn't show it here, but it shows in this first phase, this new guy I put in for the example client name, Raymo. So Raymo is an onboarding phase. His status is onboarding. Excuse me. In this bucket here, Facebook group, offer, etc. All this we can see. Facebook profile. If I need to quickly go to his group to reference it or go to his profile to do an audit before a kickoff call, all this is at my fingertips, super easy to access. And then when I open up and click on his client card, I'll see the image of him, and I can scroll down and see all this super helpful information about where he's at with his business coming into the program. This is a zoomed out view to just kind of show you what each client card looks like. So now that we have the client card opened, so we click and open it up, we can see the name of the client. We can again see all these responses here from the onboarding form. And then to the right, we also have an activity feed. And this is super helpful, not only when you're just coaching clients yourself in your own coaching offer, one-to-one, or even if you're offering your own group offer, but along with offering a coaching program where maybe you have one other coach with you doing coaching as well. This supports working just for you as well as working for other team members, so you can have a constant activity stream on updates for this client. So let's say I just got off a call with this client today. We had a coaching session. He let me know that he just secured a second group coaching program sale. I can come in here and drop this win on the client card and see exactly when this win took place. So then when I jump on the next client call, I can refer back to that. Maybe there was a challenge that he mentioned on the last call that we really spent a lot of time focusing on that I want to touch base with him on our next call to see how he's progressing towards that. Now I can easily just refer back to his client card, look at the activity stream, see the most recent update, and we have a constant pulse to see all of the updates from his time in the program. So each client in our business has their own card. Each card has all the onboarding information, which is updated throughout their time in the program. And then in the top left here, as we do a kickoff call with them, we give them access to a drive folder for resources in the call recording, so we can quickly access this in one spot. And then on the right here, we have the entire activity stream of wins, challenges, updates, notes on what we've been working on, progression, etc. And as I continue to go through this process here, I know I'm kind of going over screenshots of the app. Some of this stuff may be a little bit difficult to see. So if there's anything you guys are curious on or want to hear a little bit more about or have questions on, again, just let me know in the chat or in the comment section of the live, and I will work to get to those next. Here, what I'm sharing with you guys is a zoomed out view of this dashboard that we use to manage the entire business. Now, as we look into the left here, we see a variety of different things we're going to be getting into later in the presentation. But we have one simple folder for delivery. Inside delivery, we go to the Coaches Hub. Once we click on this Coaches Hub here, this is where we can see all of our clients, what phase they're in, who's an active client, who's onboarding, even who's offboarding. And we can see a clear snapshot of what phase they're in, what they look like. And then again, this is where we can just simply click to open them up and go right into that information that we need. Nested inside this delivery folder, I also have one section just for one-to-one coaching client delivery that basically notes, let's say you guys are selling one-to-one coaching offer and you promise, let's say 10 calls for the time frame that you offered that client. Obviously, you'd want to have a system or a structure in place to track how many calls you've given them, so you don't have to always look back and count up how many Zooms you did or how many invites you sent them, etc. This system basically tracks all that for you, and you can quickly and easily see, hey, I've delivered 3 calls. We have X amount of calls remaining. This is the time frame that their term is ending in our one-to-one coaching. Other nice beneficial thing about this really simplified hub, when I'm building these systems, you can go really deep and add a bunch of different lists, but I like to keep things as simple as possible. The more simple, the more easy it is for us to use, stay consistent with, and ultimately help maintain the energy that we need. Now, within these 3 buckets of delivery, again, we have Coaches Hub, one-to-one coaching client pipeline, and then one section just for support tickets. So this is another big piece for those of you here that are selling a one-to-one coaching offer or group coaching offer now. If you don't have a structure in place to manage client support requests, it can be super, super overwhelming and energy draining to have to constantly refer and make sure that you're not missing out on messages in your Facebook Messenger, messages in other chat apps, and not letting stuff slip through the cracks. Us personally, we like to coincide our support requests inside of our community where we have different threads set up for different themed questions. So if they have a question on systems, or if they have questions on conversations or on content, all of this goes into specific areas of the community for them to ask. From there, through automation, we have all this set up. So as soon as a new support request comes in from any client, it automatically creates a task for us under support tickets. So for me as a CEO every day, I can pop in the morning, go to these support tickets. I don't have to go and sift through my messenger. I don't have to go and sift through the community. I simply go to this one simple area where I can be focused, look at the support tickets that have come up that day, and then go answer those, give them support, and then mark them as closed afterwards. Diane's showing the heart eyes emoji. She likes what she sees. This honestly was a game changer for me. Super helpful to have it all in one spot. And I know that I'm sure you guys have experienced this many times too. You're in Facebook and maybe you have a one-to-one client that does pop a message over to you on a question, something that you just talked on the last call, or just a question in general. You may be busy doing something else, serving another client, working on content, trying to stay focused on what you're doing. But human nature for you as the coach, you're probably also in the back of your mind worry about, man, I got to get back to that person. I can't forget to reply to this client. I want to give them support, etc. An easy way to eliminate that energy drain and that worry about, I got to get back to them right now, is to simply have this go into the system where you know you can always come back to this at the end of the day. You're not going to miss it. You're not going to forget about it. It's in one simplified spot. You can dump it here and come back to it when the time allows. So really, this is the core of the delivery system, from onboarding to client management to support requests. Again, you can actually see here as you go inside the Coaches Hub. Imagine you're in this app now. This is a board view. So for those of you that like to use Trello, type dragging and dropping via board, I like to have this view because it just clearly shows each client in each phase, from onboarding, active, offboarding, etc. You can clearly see the list of every client that's in each phase. We click over to this and it's a list view where we can see a list of all the clients coming in that looks more like this here. Again, we can see who's onboarding, see quick information on their Facebook group, the last time we checked in with them, their offer, etc. And then at the very top, we have our onboarding form built directly in this app. So that's the really powerful thing about this. The onboarding form is directly connected to this. So if I clicked over to here, it would essentially take me to this editable form that we were just at right here, where I can change the questions on this, customize it however I want, share the link with them. And then as soon as they fill this onboarding form in, again, it automatically creates the record for them, for us. We don't have to go in and create the client record. They do that for us when they fill in the form. So now we're going to kind of segue into a little bit of the productivity topic and workflow piece, because this is also a big piece in energy management. And this is also, I want to share with you kind of a 5-step process that was super helpful to me in this. Now, we'll also be touching on these other buckets here that we see inside this app that we use to manage the business, from tasks to team, marketing, content planning, to even accounting and keeping track of client payments, when payments are due, how much balance is left remaining, etc. All of this is stuff that we really don't think about when we're enrolling those initial clients. And then we're kind of spread thin all over the map trying to keep up with it all. So let's talk on 5 key principles of productivity and energy management. For those that went through my workflow masterclass, you may be familiar with a few slides of this. A lot of this is referred back to a structure that I've developed and shared in that presentation. But it all starts with this first piece, which is very much related to what I talked on before, of that moment when you have something pop up in your day that you feel pulled to do right now, a client request, a thing that you just randomly thought of that you wanted to get down or do. And the more that we have keeping in our brain and floating around in our brain, the less we can show up and actually perform in the thing that we're focused on doing at that time. Our mind is meant for having ideas, not for storing them. Most people are less productive because they're using their brain as a massive to-do list. And they're trying to store all this information in their brain and reminding themselves, oh, I'll come back to it tomorrow. But it's practically impossible to do. And more than often, whenever a thought comes into our brain, if we don't capture it, hours later, we forget about it. And then we're pulling teeth trying to come up with what that thing was that we did think about before. This shift is the single biggest factor that helped my productivity, and also helped me not feel constantly pulled to do other things when I'm trying to focus on the task at hand. And what I did was every thought that I had or idea that I had, from content to a task that came up from a client request, to whatever it is, you name it, chances are things pop up in our head throughout the day. But the point that I'm illustrating here is we want to capture it externally, not internally in our brain, but capture it on an external source. Now, a great first step for many of you here could be simply using pen and paper. I have a digital notebook here. You have a thought come in or a client request come in, even jotting it down at that point in time is helpful in just getting it off into paper. But when it goes onto paper, I always prefer to move that into a digital space so then we can work on the task from there and not forget about it, as with paper can easily get lost. But even just capturing on paper and then moving it into your task management system is a great process to follow, allowing you to keep your brain clear, keep your brain focused, and not bogged down with all these other thoughts or tasks you have to do. So when an idea comes to life for content, a client request comes in, make sure that you're capturing it right away and not trying to hold it in your head. Number 2, clarify. Procrastination and productivity come from not clarifying your actions. A bad example of this, an example of exactly what we're talking on here of not clarifying things. Let's say you have this idea of you want to start a Facebook group. So you make this task down for you to do today, and maybe one of your goals for today is launch a Facebook group. What does that mean? What does launch a Facebook group mean? Even the example I shared here from this isn't super clear. We're going to get into this more in the next example of create the foundation of the Facebook group. But the point is, this task is super unclear. Having this in front of us is enough to make us kind of sit and wonder, okay, what should I do next? And the more that we sit, think, and ponder, the more that we're likely to procrastinate, stop, and not do the thing that we set out to do. And it doesn't get done. Time fades. We jump all over the map thinking about things that we should do for this group, and we don't have clear action steps to follow. We'll go into an example on this here next. Next phase, organize. Put stuff in the order that it needs to go. After you capture things, organize it. List off a couple of different productivity apps here just for options to go over. What I'm sharing in the system that I actually am going over today with our one app that we use to manage our entire business and client delivery is ClickUp. And honestly, at this time when I made this slide before, I was using a variety of different apps. And this is one problem that I ran into. I was using too much, spreading myself too thin across apps. And I realized as I continued to grow, I wanted to simplify things to as few apps as possible and have things in one simplified spot. This also allows us to really streamline our organization. So we were clear on what projects we're working on, what areas these projects are in, what priority they have, and what subtasks come up with us. And then lastly, review. This is one that honestly, a lot of people neglect and don't do. And this is super important, not only for us staying aligned with ourselves, but also really being able to go internally to pull out takeaways, content ideas, lessons for coaching, etc. Oftentimes we get so caught up in this world of technology and content, we're getting hit and consuming so much content a day, ads, different posts from people, different trainings, etc. And when we try to come up with content ourselves or trainings for our coaching clients, we're kind of stuck to just always feel like we have to look externally for ideas, go towards other examples of other marketers that are doing things well, so on and so forth. What I've found is that as I've found balance in creating a structure to operate my business through, it gives me a really place to refer back to do weekly reviews, weekly resets, and monthly reviews where I can actually look internally on progressions that I've made, takeaways that I've gained, insights that I've gained, all of these things that really help fuel content in a way that makes it unique to me and different from everybody else out there. And if there's one suggestion I have here on this slide for those of you here creating content and feeling stuck on ideas, take some more time to actually reflect on what you're doing and look internally. Look back at the growth you've achieved from now until 3 months ago. Look at problems that you faced 3 months ago versus where you are now and progression you made in that. There's a lot you can talk on in what you did to get to where you are now, even if it doesn't mean thousands of dollars or multiple sales. The point is you can articulate and share how your fears were once here 2 months ago. And based on the actions that you've taken now, you feel this. And that's powerful to share in your content. And engage. Take action. What we're really doing with all of these systems is giving ourselves an action planning system to make it much easier for us to show up and take action. Because sometimes the hardest thing is getting started and doing the thing. And we have so much in our head that we want to do or have to do for our business, for our clients, for our life, that when we go to sit down and do the thing, we don't know where to start. We don't have an action planning system to follow. This eliminates that, and it allows us to really engage in the actions that's going to move our business and progress our business in the way that we want, and not feeling overwhelmed and feeling like we have to focus on a million different things at once. When we zoom out, this is really the structure that I follow when it comes to workflow in terms of planning as well as new things coming into my mind. So I'm just going to kind of walk through this from top to bottom. Essentially here we have in basket, what is it? Is actionable. The point is, as I mentioned before, if I have ideas that come to life or actions that come to life for a client, for content, again, whatever it may be, I'm first putting it into my inbox. It's going into the basket. Every single day I review my inbox in the morning and basically work to clarify that what's in this inbox and say, okay, is this something that is actionable that I need to do now that aligns with my goals? If so, then I'll move it into potentially being a next action. If it's not something that's actionable, or if it's something that could wait, then I'll put it into basically a waiting stage. From there, I will actually work to define and clarify what that action is. So rather than saying launch a Facebook group, I would then break out the actions to being step number 1, create my Facebook group cover. Step number 2, get my group description in place. Step number 3, put in my welcome post. Really clear, simplified steps for me to show up and actually chip away at this project that I'm working on in a way that doesn't feel daunting or intimidating, like one massive big thing. Instead, breaking it up into bite-sized actions that we can progressively work at each and every day to bring it to life. As it goes through the system, you can also take it to the extent as you continue to grow, whereas you have more tasks coming in, you can choose to, do I want to do this myself? Is it a task that I should do? Is it a task that I should defer to somebody else in my team? Or is this something that I want to delegate that's draining my energy right now that I don't have the time to do anymore as I'm taking on more clients, doing more things, and I want to get this off my plate to somebody else to fulfill for me. So this is pretty much the map of the flow that kind of my brain works through when I have new things coming in, clarifying those things, deciding whether they're actionable or not, and then deciding from there when I want to do them or if I want to delegate them. If I do decide to do them, the place that I put them on is going to be my calendar, my ledger of commitments that I follow. Even shifting to using a Google Calendar alone in conjunction with task management was a massive help for me in terms of just knowing that, hey, I've laid out my day here. This is what I've committed to. I can't waver and jump around and do a bunch of other things. This is what I'm set out to do for this hour. And this is what I'm committed to focus on doing. When we don't have that, it's very easy for us to basically do what feels good. And we try to find motivation to do the things that we want, but it's hard to do because we don't really know what we need to do itself. It can become a vicious cycle. Now, when we look at this kind of setup that I have inside this app, ClickUp, we can see here to the left, I have tasks, one section, one folder just for tasks of business. So this is for tasks for me, for members of my team, and it basically shows action items, ideas, and inbox. So again, I'm referring to this inbox every day and deciding from there, is this one that I want to do? Is this one that I want to defer to somebody else? Moving into an action step. But I have all of this in one centralized folder, action steps, ideas, and inbox. In my marketing folder, this is basically just all about content creation, content planning. So I organize my content ideas here. And I also have a Kanban flow to basically show like I'm going from idea to writing the outline of this idea to converting it into a post to then putting it on a publishing calendar, all in this one app. And then below that, we have a delivery folder, which is what we spent the majority of the time diving into in today's presentation, going through this coaching hub, the support tickets, one-to-one client management, etc. And then last, we have the accounting folder, which is for keeping track of payments, client payments, what's upcoming, when the due date is, how much they paid, etc. All of this can really be simplified into one simple spot in this app. So the way that ClickUp is kind of structured and set up is starting with spaces, then folders, then lists. We won't need to get too much into ClickUp or app education here, but I just want to kind of articulate this and share this because this is the way that I've structured things. The space that this business is operating through is Fontana Digital. Inside of our space, we have folders for the key areas of our business: tasks, team, marketing, delivery, accounting. All of these are the folders: task, team, marketing, delivery, accounting. And then inside each folder is lists for those key things. Set up and structure this clear, cool. Any questions? Let me know in the comments here. Take a second to pause. It's taken a long time to get to this point with this system, honestly. So it's a very cool, like it's been years of refining and dialing in to the point where it's what I found now is the most simple version possible. It's very easy for when we're building these things on our own to make it too complex to start. But like I mentioned, the more that we can keep it simple, keep it to as few of apps as possible, and as less is more. And as long as we can access what we need in one simplified spot, it's achieving exactly what we want in terms of giving us one hub to come to for all the information that we need to eliminate resistance and to maintain our energy. So for those that stuck around to the end of today's presentation, for the first time ever, with what we went over today, I'm giving 5 of you the chance to plug into the exact systems you saw here today that we have created, tweaked, and refined over the last 2 years that's allowed me to scale my business to multiple 6 figures without being a slave to it. We'll be taking these templates from client delivery to everything that you saw in this section here, basically this entire business layout. We will import these directly into your own ClickUp account and your own business, help you set these up. And these all include templates, breakdowns, basically everything that we have in place for ours right now. The whole templated version is going to be there for you and we'll help you import it into your own business. And then with this opportunity that we're opening up for these 5 folks, by the end, what our goal is for you to walk away with a really clear and customized plan towards you, your business, and your offer with systems that will allow you to shave 10 to 20 hours off your work week and scale your business sustainably. So we'll not only install these systems into your business, but then we'll help you customize them towards your offer, your business, and what is unique to you, because every business isn't going to be the same. And that's the power of what we have set up in these templates. It all is customizable towards you, from content to coaching, delivery to team management to accounting and payments. All of this can be customized towards your offers and your products. And that's where we're opening up the opportunity here to import this into your business and set it up for you. For those that would be interested in this, just drop a hashtag systems below in the chat, in the Zoom room, or on Facebook, and I will reach out with the details following this. Reason we're keeping it limited to 5 spots is because it's going to involve hands-on work from us in a customized way. Like this isn't just going to be a cookie cutter thing where we just give you the template and tell you to run with it. We really want to make sure that you're clear on how to use the structure in your business, that it is set up accordingly for you, and then set up in a way where it's easy to get going right away so you can start benefiting from it and shaving time off your week. And ultimately just having one hub to come to manage your entire business. Appreciate your comment, Diane. I will reach out right after the live today to talk further on that. Any questions I can cover from what we went over today on the presentation, on the offer that we shared at the end, anything that we talked on today? I'll take 5-10 minutes here in the end for anybody that even wants to come on the Zoom room and chat with me about any of this we talked on. No questions, okay too, but I'm here to cover them for those that have any. Where do you get all your awesomeness? That's a great question. We all have awesomeness within us. I think it's just really finding a way to tap into it. And that's what's cool about every individual. We're all different. We're all unique in our own way. For me, like this stuff that we went over today lights me up. I absolutely love it. I like taking the complex and making it simple and finding a way to connect the dots amongst all of these things into one unified system. And you guys will see more of us continuing to talk on this more going forward as we branch into more offers around this, because truly, like, to me, not enough people are sharing this stuff in the space now. And this is the stuff that really like makes a massive difference on your ability to grow in a way that you want while still building a business that makes you happy, that lights you up, keeps you fulfilled, and you don't feel like you're all over the map, basically making another job for yourself. And to be honest with you, a lot of what I built came out of struggles that I once faced. I once felt very overwhelmed with all this. I once felt all over the map with all this. And I knew that I had to solve it for myself. And then once I did, I wanted to start solving it for others. Thanks so much, Diane. I appreciate that. Appreciate everybody watching on the Facebook Live too as well, for those that tuned in. Any questions you guys have too as well, feel free to drop it in the comments. I still see a few folks on there. And Justin, good to see you on as well, man. I saw you snuck in about halfway through the Zoom training today, so I'm glad you're able to make it. For those that attended the Zoom room specifically, you get access to this entire recording. So let me know in the comments below if you do want access to this, just hashtag replay below, and I'll send this over to you to check out and watch in your own free time if you want to come back to it. Aside from that, I will reach out to the folks that did comment systems, wanting the details on that. And anybody else watching now or on the replay that wants to find out more about this, we have remaining spots left, or has any questions on it, feel free to reach out to me with a DM directly, and we can talk further on that. With that said, it looks like no further questions at this time. So we will plan to wrap up at that. I appreciate everybody that stuck on and hung out till the end of today's training. I hope you all enjoyed it. And before we wrap up here on the Facebook Live and in the Zoom room, if you got value from today's training, hashtag value below, let me know. Thanks for coming to hang out with us, Diane. Really glad to hear that you enjoyed it and got a lot of value from it. All right, guys. At that note, we will wrap it up. I hope you all have fantastic weekends. I'll be in touch on the remaining, and we'll see you back on the next one very soon. See you guys.